This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This school year, let the Walmart app ace your kid's favorite subject, snack time. With Nature Valley Crunchy Granola and Danimals smoothies they'll actually wake up for. Craft Lunchables for a truly refined cafeteria palate, or Gatorade for when they take Capture the Flag a bit too seriously. Get all their on-the-go cravings delivered right to your door, just in time for that opening bell. New school year, all the snacks. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Welcome to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, your besties with a literary podcast that deep dives into the writing of your favorite novels.
This is Jack.
And I'm Amy.
We're currently taking a break from our book club to talk to author Tracy Wolff about It Happened on a Sunday, her latest contemporary romance, available September 2nd, 2025.
Tracy Wolff is the #1 New York Times, #1 international, and USA Today bestselling author of over 60 novels that run the gamut from young adult action adventures to new adult romance, and from women's fiction to erotica. A longtime lover of vampires, dragons, and all things that go bump in the night, Tracy loves nothing more than combining her affection for paranormal creatures with her love of writing tortured heroes and kick-butt heroines. When she's not writing, which is a rare occurrence, she can be found trying out new recipes, offering makeup tips online, wandering comic book or gaming stores with her sons, and watching movies or plotting stories with her besties.
Find her at her website, tracywolffauthor.com, or on Instagram at tracywolffbooks. Welcome to the podcast, Tracy.
Welcome!
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. You guys are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
But we've been all of 5 minutes or 6 minutes, and I'm just like, why do we connect? Why are we on the same level?
Right? Besides our technology's lack of connection with us, right? I think that's you, right? You and me, Jack? Technology and I, we are not friends. My partner, who's an engineer, by the way, and used to be like, oh, obviously it's user error. Obviously it's your fault. And at this point now, she's like, no, I'm pretty sure you screwed over some really terrible, she says Nikola Tesla, but some tech guy in a former life, and this is your punishment. That's what she's decided now. She's like, I'll be like, why is it doing that? She's like, I have no idea. I can't tell you that. That does not happen to anybody else.
There's some kind of Mercury in retrograde in your sign where you just breathe that.
Yeah, deep inside me, right? Yeah, something. So
thank God you didn't have any technology issues writing this book.
Oh, that is a big jump. Actually, I didn't have, at one point, no, I think I actually didn't really. Well, I kill a computer a year, so I have to go through one computer every year. Again, because when I'm writing, really writing, I'm writing 20 hours a day.
Oh, man. Well, you have brought us a masterpiece.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I texted Amy so quickly, and I was like, well, it's funny because Amy started reading it and she was like, this is about to be your new favorite book. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I haven't had a book like this in a long time, but this is the kind of book where I get to say, Tracy, you ruined my sleep.
Oh, yay. Those are the best books. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible person. But
I was on a great sleeping schedule until you.
I know how important a good sleeping schedule is because I do not have one ever. So I'm so deeply apologetic about that. I truly am.
Yeah, I'm like, dang it. But also thank God, because It Happened on a Sunday was cleansing in a soul level, I think.
I don't know that I've ever felt so much joy within 2 pages of a book.
Yeah.
Like 2 pages in, I was like, I don't need to read the rest. I
Yeah.
will, but so happy, so excited. Like I already know and love everything about the characters I'm reading about. So thank you for that treat. That is such a treat for us.
Thank you for your kind words. That means a lot to me. I had a lot of fun building, like, characters are my thing. I love to get in there and play with relationships. I've done it, like, I think, like, going on close to 80 books at this point. Like, that's, every author has their favorite thing. That's my favorite thing. And so this whole, like, Abuela Jimena and Sly,
Yeah.
I love it. My partner is Mexican American, raised in a small town in Texas. And so it was really lovely to bring so many of the things that I've seen in having been with her for the last 6.5 years or out
Mm-hmm.
into this book, and the things that were like the baby tortilla is like
Yeah.
totally her thing. Like you have to have the baby tortilla. Like
Yeah.
that's like, yeah. And so now I'm over there making tortillas and she's like, don't give that to one of the boys. That one's for me.
No.
And
There
that
was
was like our abuela.
I could tell that you had someone. I was like, she knows someone. That
Mhm.
she has someone. I'm Chilean. We don't do tortillas, but there's a certain dynamic within Hispanic cultures and, having your abuela be a big part of your life that I was like,
Yeah.
no, she's in the know. This isn't Google. This isn't Google.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is yeah, this is very much a lot of stuff. So it's pretty cool. I really enjoyed being able to do that.
Great. So there's no way to talk about this book without kind of calling it what we're seeing, which again, it's kind of funny because the day that we're recording is like the day that Taylor and Travis got married or got engaged.
Got
No,
engaged.
got engaged.
We're like recording
Sorry.
like 2 hours after it hit, right? Or
I
something
know,
like
right?
that.
I'm still trying not to be emotional about it. So, but this book, which I didn't even realize until I started reading it, and I was like, oh my God, what this is, I'm so excited. But this book is based off a certain famous couple. And when we were chatting, it's loosely based where you have this pop star and the football star, but they're very much not Taylor and Travis. Like they are very separate people. But what was it about that dynamic that inspired you?
I'm a romance writer. Like at heart, never wanted to write anything but romance. When I was little, it was like The Prince and the Princess when I wrote my first short story when I was like 7. And then it was like YA romance. And then when I was like 11, my mom gave me my first romance novel. And I was like, oh, this is it. Like I always knew I wanted to be a writer. I'm like,
Oh,
this is what I'm
God.
doing for the rest of my life. But like 11, right? So like being able to watch romance, and again, there's only so much perception, but like it looks like a really healthy relationship, right? Where we were talking before about how when she was on his podcast, like little hearts were like beaming out of his eyes. Like he really loves her and really respects who she is. And I think that in the climate that we're dealing with, right, in general, I think you having like read your bios both strike me as very successful women in your own right. These like successful, powerful women for so many years, right? I was raised by a woman who worked, and I'm kind of going this long way. Like my mom's career was incredibly important to her. And she was born in like 1942. So it was
Yeah.
very unusual. She traveled the world when she was on her own when she was 20 years old before in America you
Wow.
could have a credit card or a checking account.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of incredible things. She just had like no, she just kicked the bear. She's like, I don't believe in that and I'm just doing what I want and who are you to tell me differently? But like and then, she gets married and she still lived her life very much that way, but also catered to my dad and made dinner every night and did all these other things, right? And so I think that and I make dinner every night because I like to cook. But I think that like so many powerful women or strong women or successful women have had to in their lives make themselves smaller for the person that they're with. And I just love the idea that Taylor doesn't have to do that. She is this incredible woman at the top of her game and she can still find love with a really great guy. And I think that dynamic, even though the characters are very, very different, I think that dynamic is what attracted me, right? I've had a failed marriage and I was a single mom for a lot of years. And I know even in my own marriage that no matter whether I worked, whether I was on deadline, whatever, there were certain expectations like this is,
Mhm.
how you're supposed to be. And I think it's really incredible to see someone out there being like, no, you can have everything. Not everything, because nobody can have everything, but you can have an incredible career and an incredible love story. And that's awesome. That's as it
Yeah.
Yeah.
should be, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's what inspired me.
Yeah, and obviously we're making assumptions because we don't know Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce,
We are making assumptions.
but it does strike me as she doesn't have to hide any aspect of herself or make any aspect of herself a little dimmer
Mm-hmm.
in that relationship. That's what it comes across as.
Yeah, that's certainly how, and again, like this book is a lot too about perception, right?
Right.
And how we're living in a world, like whether you want to call it the post-truth world, right? But we're living in a world where perception is everything and truth is whatever. But, and again, none of us are privy to the life that they lead. But it's certainly lovely to imagine that a really powerful woman has a really powerful love story too. I think that's a
Yeah.
fantastic thing to hope for all of us and for every woman
Yeah.
in the world, you know?
Yeah. There's a high chance I'm going to start crying in the middle of this interview. But it's true. There was something about watching that interview, and Amy is engaged to a woman. They're both
Yeah.
lovely and they're so freaking
I don't
cute.
believe in love with men, apparently.
Well, I am married to a woman, so
I'm the unfortunate hetero. And I actually recently had this like panic of I am driven. I'm very driven. I'm very successful. And kind of what you're saying is like, there are men, and I was worried. I'm like, will any guy actually find that attractive? And then sitting there watching that interview on New Heights with Travis and Taylor, where he is just so enamored with her drive, so absolutely captured with how driven she is. But like that, I can totally see being Mateo too, or Sly. Like I can see where it's just like he's just proud of her. And there's that element where it doesn't have to be quote unquote Travis. It's just an element of a partner who just likes who they're with and likes that they're successful.
yeah, I think Mateo, nicknamed Sly, right? So that's why I call him both. I think he's very enamored of who she really is, right? Like he's like, look at this woman who's just doing these incredible things. And then as he digs deeper and finds out like the trauma that she's been through to get to where she is, and I think he's just even more enamored of that. Like here you are. Like there's an element I think in most of the books I write of like somebody having been knocked down, right? That's kind of like the mantra of my life. As long as you get up one more time than you've been knocked down, you're
Mm-hmm.
doing okay, right?
Yeah.
Bad things are going to happen to absolutely everybody, and it's how you deal with it. And some of them are going to hurt longer, and some of them are going to hit harder. But eventually, if you find your way to getting back up and moving on, like there's something really powerful in that and hopeful. And I think
Yeah.
that what he sees in her is the fact that, yeah, she's been knocked down hard, but she's still here and she's still fighting. And she didn't have a lot of hope, but he gets to bring the hope, right? It's kind of fun writing the grumpy sunshine from reverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really loved that.
Black cat and golden retriever.
She's
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
have no idea what you're talking about. Like, that's okay. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes Sloan as a character, even though she's the pop star in this dynamic, she's so relatable as well. Even though, maybe us, have not gone through the same trauma, we understand trauma responses because at some level we all have experienced that. I mean, it was so easy to feel empathy for her within that first point of view, that first
Mhm.
time we see things from her perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really appreciated that about your approach to her and her story in general. So for you as the author, what was it like following her healing journey? Is there something you hope your readers take away from that process?
I think that's a really interesting question. I think I touched on it a little bit in my last answer, right? I've had a really rough few years myself, and I think that at some point we all go through bad times. Whatever those bad times look like, it is part of the human condition, right? You will have good years, you will have bad years. It is what it is. And I think that what is so relatable about Sloan, right, is the fact that she was really hurt. And maybe not relatable, but maybe something that like we take in and it's providing hope. You know what I mean? She really struggled for a very long time. And yet she somehow managed to find her way to like just baseline, right? I feel like she was kind of at baseline when he met her. Like, I'm functioning, I'm surviving, I'm not being creative because I
Mhm.
can't, but I'm getting up every day and I'm fighting the good fight and I'm doing what I need to do. And one day I hope it's going to come back to me. And then Sly, and I'm not saying he brings her creativity back to her, but what he does, right, is he helps her find joy again, right? And helps her find really, really that love of music that's been with her so long, right? And I've struggled with my own creativity over the last couple of years, I think. And for me, we talked about the fact that I have a lot of different projects coming up, right? It happened on a Sunday for me was finding my way through that my own pain that I've been through in the last few years and finding my truth and finding my footing again and really finding my creativity again. And I think that you can't fake that. And I think that every book that I write in general tends to deal in some way, somehow, of what I'm going through it at a time. And so for this book, it was really me finding my way back to myself and my way back to my creativity. I don't know if it's the authenticity of that. Like I think all people and all women, I mean, I don't want to say all because obviously there are people who don't go through it, but I think at one time or another you lose yourself because of whether it's something bad that happened or just sadness at something terrible that's happened or whatever. And I think that journey is a very authentic one, or I hope that it is.
Absolutely. Whether it's creativity, like I think everyone in this who's talking right now, we're all very creative people. And it is a moment where you realize that you're surviving, not thriving. And sometimes we get confused that surviving is the best we can do, right? Because you've now gone into survival mode and you have a good pattern of surviving. And now your brain is like, this is the best we can do. Like, this is it. Good job. You're not, she has a panic attack on stage, but she finishes it, right? But she finishes her whole set and no one really notices except for Sly. And she's able to have this moment and you're just, like you said, going through the motions. So I think we all have that moment where you're going through the motions and it's what is the thing that inspires you, whether it's writing or cooking, or I'm trying to imagine a non-creative person doing math. I don't know, whatever it is that like brings you.
Building budget.
Yeah. Building a budget. Yeah. Like just
Whatever your
something.
thing is that matters to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. My comfort activity last night was building a budget database for myself. So we all have our different things.
That is totally like my partner's like comfort system too. Like her planning, like she actually has that little Excel like mug that's like something about in the sheets, like yeah.
Freak in the
Yeah,
sheets.
that's totally how my partner like, yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know, I have 30 notebooks and she's and there's a note of what I have to do in each one of them. Like, how is that helpful, Tracy? I don't know, it works for me.
Just like Sloan with their notebooks, just like being like, I need to write this down.
Yeah. I hope that the message of hope comes through in the book, right?
Oh, yeah,
That
it
like
does.
it's gonna get better and you're gonna
Mhm.
be okay. And the fact that Sly helped on the journey, but really it was like that whole like the way it ends, right? With her and
Yeah.
that I don't want to say too much, but like I feel like she had to get there on her own. Like it was not like he could be like, I've got you, but at the
Yeah.
same time, she had to do the work. She had to get herself
Right.
there.
I
And I
mean, you
think
could
that
say that he kind of provided the safe space,
he
but
provided the safe space for her in a
you
way, yeah.
but at the end, like, a space can only do so much. You have to take the action yourself.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, and I think, like, I mean, it's okay to say a partner brings you safe space, right? Like, it's okay to say that you wanna find someone that you can thrive with, but you can't take those final steps unless it's yourself.
I get a lot of fan mail I still get pretty regularly comes from, like, the Jackson, Hudson, Grace thing in Crave, right? And I always talk when people are like, "Oh, but I really love Jackson." I say, Jackson was exactly who Grace needed at that time. She needed somebody to
Mhm.
be protective because she was learning all these new worlds. But as she stepped into her own power, she needed somebody who's like, "I'll be your safe space and I've got you, but you go be you. You
Yeah.
go thrive. You go do everything that you can do." And I think that Sly, that obviously that's a dynamic that very intrigues me, right? That intrigues me a lot, and that I think that my partner does for me, right? Like gives me
Mhm.
this safe space to be in, but then also like you go write however many books you need to write. You go do
Mhm.
whatever it is you need to do to be who you are. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful, I think.
So while Sloane is kind of going through her own journey, and you have Sly, who is so freaking cute. Like the fact that he goes to the concert with his grandma, it just brings me so much freaking joy. But I think what you have interesting in his own arc and in his own development is his newfound exposure this like, he was already famous. He's a football star, but similar to Travis, it's a different level. And, Travis has even had to admit, like, yep, it wasn't like that before. And that is such a unique approach to take with Sly. But there's something about that tension, right? The tension that fame introduces, both personally and narratively, right? Like we kind of talked about, it's like what people see on the outside versus what you see on the inside. What was it with that tension, especially in regards to Sly, that you liked writing?
One of my favorite scenes with Sly, and I don't think this is a spoiler, is like after everything starts really exploding and his teammates are like kind of giving him a hard time and whatever. And then he opens his phone and like his DMs have exploded and he's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, they're all underage girls. Nope.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out of there. I want no part of that. And
Yeah.
I just thought that was like so like I can only like imagine. Like it was so funny. I'm like obviously a so much smaller level. But I remember the first time I posted something about my partner, her social media is all private. But the first time I posted like a picture of us or something, like her DMs like blew up and she had like, I have like 200 friend requests. No, like what do I do? Like
Wow.
I'm such a much incredibly smaller level.
Yeah, but if she got like 200, oh God.
Yeah, it's still the whole like, oh my gosh, like this is not what I was expecting when I was
Mhm.
like, hey, you're really cute. You want to go on a date? You know? And obviously, again, like so totally not the same level by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think it's like there's a lot really intriguing about that, right? For me, I'm very intrigued about playing with the power dynamics in a relationship or like kind of turning them on their head, right? We see so many, and I wrote a billionaire series, right? Where he
Mhm.
was the rich guy and she was the, intern and all of that after having already graduated from law school, not like
Yeah,
18 by
yeah.
any stretch of the imagination, just to clarify, full grown woman. You play with like you see those dynamics all the time. I love switching the dynamics and playing with the fact that like, no, she's got like so much of the power. She's got the savvy. She's been through it in a way he hasn't. She knows, and she's got to give him the roadmap,
Yep.
Something really exciting about being able to see that. And then having a guy who's like emotionally strong enough and to follow it and be totally okay with that. You know what I mean? I am the mother of 3 boys, and I have worked incredibly hard in my life to raise good men, to raise respect women, and that are secure in their own masculinity and don't it is an ongoing process, right? And I truly believe that a lot of the responsibility of being a boy mom, especially when you're a single mom, which I was for many years, is teaching them how to be respectful of women and live in a society. And one of mine was, a football player. And we had, at the time that he was in high school, they'd had that horrible thing in Ohio, right? Where that girl, I don't know if you remember, had been brutally,
Yeah. Yeah.
raped and whatever. I don't want to get into it, but at this party. And I remember I sat him down and I said, look, if anything like this ever happens anywhere that you are, and he was still in high school, I was like, you shut it down. If you don't feel strong or they're not listening to you, you call the cops. You call me. I will come shut it down.
Yeah.
Like we are not going to have this ever happen at a place that you are. And years later, when he was in college and, I had met some of his people, he said, somebody had told me, he's the one who always like, if a guy's going upstairs with a drunk girl, he's always like, hey, maybe that's not the best decision you should be making right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, right.
You did
Maybe,
it.
you work hard.
Yeah.
I think there's something really powerful about that in a man, and I think Sly is that kinda guy. He's the kinda guy who's like, "Yeah, you go be your best self, and yeah, nobody's gonna take that from you, and absolutely, we're not gonna put up with any gross, disgusting stuff happening to women on my watch."
Well, it's kind of going against society, right? Like,
It is.
it's men who are fortunately raised that way, who are fortunately, are doing the right thing. And I don't want to say society is teaching them to do the wrong thing, but there's a certain level of mob mentality, especially like within sporting culture.
You don't wanna say society's teaching it, but, like, you also look at, like, the cases where, like, women bring rape cases, and then
Hmm.
they're the ones on trial, right?
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Or, "Oh, you don't wanna ruin this young man's life." Well, what
Yep.
about the
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that her life has been completely ruined? That doesn't count?
Yeah.
Why is
Right.
that less important? In what world is that less important?
Yeah. Then for the good guys to then come back and like fight against that and be like, no, that's not okay. There is a certain amount of like secureness that they have that they're, intellect and thinking, emotional intelligence. That's what I'm going for, that they have to achieve in order to do that, because it is like there is catering to the bad guys out there. And for the ones that go against that, it's great to see. It's like you're fully capable and you get to be the quarterback football star. You get to be the like epitome of masculinity and still go against everything else.
Or I think early in my career, like I said, I've written like close to 80 books at this point. Early in my career, I wrote like really solid alpha guys, or like what the definition of alpha guys were. Like my first book came out in 2007. So, it's been an almost 20-year journey, right? But even then I was like, I just know, like, he still has to be a good guy. Like, at heart, for me to find him attractive enough that I would want him with my heroine, he just has to be a good guy. And I think there's something really powerful about a good guy and a good man. You know what I mean? And having him by your side to be your safe space when you need it, and for you to be his safe space when he needs it,
Plot twist, it's an ad break, but we promise it is still canon.
Amy, it is my time to shine because fall is in full swing.
All I want for fall are those big, soft sweaters that I can wear everywhere, but they are way too expensive.
Fortunately, Quince makes it easy to look polished, stay warmed, and save big without compromising on quality.
I love their elevated pieces that are just those go-to essentials for fall, including their 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. You can't get that anywhere else.
I got one of their cardigans last year. It was my favorite cardigan, and it's going to continue to be my favorite cardigan.
I have always wanted one of those giant wool coats, and I've never made the investment because they're so expensive, but I actually can get the quality that I'm looking for a decent price through Quince.
That's because by partnering directly with ethical, top-tier factories and cutting out the middleman, Quince is able to deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. It's the kind of wardrobe upgrade that feels smart, stylish, and effortless.
I love my 100% cotton button-ups that I've got for this summer. They were a perfect transition piece for summer to fall. Keep it classy and cozy this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince.
Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK to get free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/booktalk.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
Summer might be over, but hydration is never over.
I need it more than ever now that it's back to school season.
Thank goodness for Liquid IV, because that is what's getting me hydrated and ready for the fall.
Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise.
3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick.
1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water is more hydrating than water alone.
Liquid IV has their new Liquid IV's Energy Multiplier Sugar-Free Hydration Energy. This is what I use daily.
It's 0 sugar, 3 times the electrolytes, and 9 essential vitamins for a sugar-free, crash-free boost.
The fact that it has natural caffeine, it's perfect for that jitter-free, sugar-free lift, because you know how I react to caffeine.
And you know what? It comes in 2 amazing flavors. They have a sugar-free energy strawberry kiwi and the best sugar-free energy blackberry lemonade.
I had food poisoning this week, and I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you I had my Liquid IV in my giant tumbler, just sipping it, trying to stay hydrated, and I think it saved me.
It's scientifically formulated to support physical energy, hydration, focus, mood, and social stamina, or in Jack's case, food poisoning stamina.
Ditch the glitch with 0 sugar and 0 crash from Liquid IV.
Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with the code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order with code BOOKTALK. BOOKTALK at liquidiv.com.
As a kid, there was nothing more important than that next PlayStation game. My parents made us save for that stuff.
If only you had Acorns Early.
Yeah, because I had to carry cash, man. That's hard to keep.
Acorns Early is the smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
If you're one of those parents who likes chore charts, you can start with in-app chores trackers and teach your kids the value of $1.
By doing that, it lets your kids set their own saving goals and start building healthy money habits early. I really wish I had something like this when I was younger.
I wish my parents made me do this now.
Actually, yes.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their very own customizable debit card, giving them that extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early's spending limits and real-time spending notifications, you are always going to stay in control, parents.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app. That's 1 month free when you sign up for acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fees starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.
Switch to Shiseido Benefiance Wrinkle Smoothing Eye Cream and discover why people are calling it the best eye cream. A powerhouse formula that targets 5 types of eye area wrinkles. 96% of users saw reduced wrinkles and diminished dark circles after just 7 days. Shop Shiseido Benefiance Wrinkle Smoothing Eye Cream at Sephora and discover how change can happen in the blink of an eye. Consumer tested by 110 women.
Well, I was going to say you're doing the Lord's work, but who knows if you believe in a Lord. You're doing good work. That's what matters.
Thank you.
As someone who grew up with 4 younger brothers and has had to have the conversation of, that was a microaggression against a woman, and I don't care if you want to fight me on it, don't do it again. So I really appreciate the effort.
Yeah, you have to say, look, this is not an appropriate way. And even if they're not doing it, if you're seeing it in their friends, if you're seeing it somewhere else, like, hey, look, we don't do these things. This is not the way that you should want to live your life. This is the truth. I like to write about good people living their lives, finding their truth, and finding success at whatever it is that they do, right? I think there's something really powerful in people like really trying to live a good life, like whatever that looks like to them, but one where you don't want to hurt other people and you do your best to just be a good person and also pursue your truth. I think that's a really powerful place to operate out of. And I feel like, yeah, you're going to get hurt because you're more vulnerable and whatever else at different times. But I also feel like, do you really want to live your life a different way? You know what I mean? Like, do
It's
you
worth
really
it.
want to live a life where you try to hurt people? Like, who wants to do that?
No.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, I mean, I like writing a villain as well as the next person, but I also like really like writing a villain's comeuppance. Like, nope,
Yeah.
we can't do that. That's not okay.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, and in this day and age, I think we need to see more and more of that, like, good people do win in the end.
Yeah.
Like, good people can be successful and,
Can find love. Can have
Absolutely.
joy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Can have a really good, meaningful, powerful life.
Yep.
Mhm.
And you can have relationships, whether it's with whoever it's with, right? Whoever you are attracted to and whoever you want your partner to be. Yeah, as long as they've got you and you've got them and you're both being your true authentic selves, then and living I think that's really incredible. And I love writing romance for that reason.
Yeah.
I love that. So you've written almost 80 books.
In 20 years. Sorry.
That's a lot.
Well-being is yeah.
Prolific.
How would you categorize this book in your wide range of novels and bibliography?
It's not erotica, unfortunately. But it's also not YA. Like, these are grown-ass characters.
Yeah, these are grown characters, and they do have sex in the book and all of that. But no, it's not like Full Exposure, which is one of my like really, darker erotica novels, or Love Game. So I think it's a contemporary romance, and I've written several just strong contemporary romances. I've written definitely on the spicier side in a lot of them. But again, I think that every book I write, and I'm not a gargoyle, and I'm not a mermaid, which was my first YA novel, and I'm not a snowboarder, which was another series that I wrote. But I think that in each book that I write, like I said, there are pieces of me and there are pieces of whatever I'm going on, whatever is going on in my lifetime. So like right now, when I was writing, it happened on Sunday, which was, a year ago. I was really struggling again to find my creative footing, struggling to get out of a couple really hard knocks or whatever else that I'd been going through and trying to to find my way again. Before that, I always talk about Crush, right? Which is the second book in the Crave series. He's trapped in Grace's head. I was writing that book as we all went into the pandemic,
Yeah.
you know? And
Oh.
literally he's trapped and I'm trapped, I'm trapped in this
Yeah.
house with my 3 kids and my mother. I took care of my mother who died a couple years ago, but I took care of her through the last several years of her life. She lived with me. So, and then my fiance, we're all trapped in this house. And it was, yeah, of course, it's trapped in Grace's head. So yeah. So there. How does it fit? It fits because it's kind of a piece of me.
Yeah. That makes sense. Now the Crave one really makes sense to me, though, adding the pandemic level to that. I'm like,
Right?
oh, yeah.
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 I love that, though, because sometimes, I feel like when authors talk about books, and I understand because I think the question's always like, do you see yourself in these characters? And it's always like, eh? Are you? I mean, I wouldn't call you, having known you for all of 45 minutes, but
I'm
I
not the
wouldn't call
Black Widow. I'm
yeah, and
not
I
the Black
wouldn't
Widow.
say you're a Black Widow. However, it's also, I feel like that's a hard question, when, authors get that, but there is always going to be heart, right? That is part of you into this book. And, it's a romance book, but I can totally see this being a romance in memory of yourself. I like to call them snow globe moments where
Oh,
you
I
can
love
look back.
that.
Thank you. My
I
therapist
love
does
that
too.
very, very much. I really, really do. Yeah, snow globe moment.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You
so
can use
interesting.
it.
The English major in me, right, and the English teacher is always fascinated by studying an author's lexicon of work because you get to watch how
Mhm.
they evolve through their career.
Yeah.
It's super interesting when you say snow globe. I'm all these little snow globe moments of I've never thought of it that way. That's really
It
beautiful.
makes me feel like I'm able to look back on things and not feel necessarily nostalgic or wish I was in that time or regret. It's just more of a moment of saying, wow, this was such a part of my life. And I
Mhm.
can look back on it like you would a snow globe and just enjoy it for what it is and then put it back on the
And then
shelf.
put it back on the shelf. That is really beautiful. Thank you for imparting that. I'm gonna be thinking on that for a
If you
while.
want to use it,
I really am.
man,
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
free.
I'll certainly be using it when I talk and be like, "Hey, I was on this podcast and Jack was
Yeah.
saying," "That's a really cool way to tell all my writing friends about your wisdom."
Thank you. But I can see these books being your snow globe.
Yeah. And also, I concentrate on, her journey because, of course, I tend to write romance, and I tend to come at it. But I do think that every book that you write is if you're writing romance, is either one character's story or another, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I've written several stories that were really, the man's journey as well, that male character. And there's still pieces, I am the biggest cheerleader. If you're my friend, I am, the biggest cheerleader in the world. I am "Yes, let's go do this. We got whatever it is, I'm in," right? Ride or die. And I think that that part of Sly is definitely that part of me, right? So it's not oh, it's only her story. Yeah, I think
Yes.
that I don't know, and every author is different. And you're right, I can't talk for any other author. But I think that I had a good friend of mine, let me put it this way, who's a writer. Her name is Emily Jane, used to write as Emily McKay. We were talking about the fact that when you're a writer, when you go to work, and she's one of those friends I mentioned who has a software engineering husband. That's why I love this
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
When we go to write, where it's "Oh, this is the best, most fun ever. Ooh, we get to do the first kiss. That's exciting." And then there are days where
Yeah.
you have to bleed, you have to hurt, and
Mm.
you have to go back to those moments in your life. They're not the moments that you're writing about, but moments in your life where you felt like this character feels. And that hurts, right? And I remember she asked her husband, her software coding husband, "Do you ever because we were joking, do you think he has to do that when he goes to work?" And she's like, "Well, does it ever make you cry when you're writing code?" He says, "No, but reading other people's code makes me cry," which I thought was
That's
really
funny.
funny.
Yeah, it just lends into our, next question perfectly. You're talking about those heavier moments, the first kiss is always, we're all excited. But it is those heavy moments. And with Sloan, you have these really heavy subjects and it's vulnerable. Again, some of these things you might be able to relate to personally, other people might not be able to relate to personally, but that feeling is very much there. That is in some ways universal. Was that one of the most challenging parts going into this book? Was the heavy trauma that she experienced?
Was it the most challenging? I think you want, or I think I want, let me just put it that way. As a writer, I think that people have gone through all kinds of things. I have gone through some of the things that I've written about. I have not gone through all of the things that I've written about. I'm not a snowboarder. I am the clumsiest person you'll ever meet. But I think that when you are writing somebody's story and it's and they're dealing with something that people deal with, that some people have to deal with in their lives, I think there is a really truly heavy responsibility that comes with that, right? To be authentic, but to also be gentle. You can't gloss over it. You can't gloss over, like with Grace, for example, in Crave, she loses her parents. Like, you don't,
Yeah.
and one of the things I've heard from so many people is like, that was on the page. You didn't hide it. I'm like, you don't lose mom and dad in a terrible accident and then 2 weeks later be like, oh, yeah, I'm good. And uproot your
No.
entire life to go live with
Yeah.
your uncle who you really don't know. But like, oh, yeah, everything's great. Like, so I feel like as a writer, you have to strive to be authentic and you have to strive to deal with whatever subject it is that you're dealing with. In this case,
Mhm.
Sloan did undergo some terrible domestic violence with grace and with as much compassion as you possibly can. I think that compassion is everything. I think that in the
Yeah.
world that we live in, I think in writing a book, I think in all of this, like if you're going to deal with a heavy subject, absolutely it weighs on you. Absolutely you struggle, but absolutely you have to always approach, I think, everything in life, but certainly when you're writing a book with compassion for these
Yeah.
people that whose lives you are dealing with.
Yeah, and it's not just Sloan too. It's Sly's sister also goes like horrific domestic violence, and there's different. I don't want to say different reasons, but they're different narratives, right, between Sloan's
Exactly.
experience and Sly's sister, but they're able to relate to that, and they're able to just kind of have that shared trauma bond there. But yeah, there's something very powerful, I think, within it, and yeah, I was about to say something, but I don't believe it. I don't want to call it the female experience because that's like one bullshit. I don't like calling that the female experience, but I think there's something where like that's something that women are afraid of. Like I, unfortunately, as the token hetero, have to date my natural predator. I don't like that. I don't like that that's something that I have to do that I'm going for. But I think it's something like whenever I read it, it's always like it's always been a fear, right? Like cuz you don't plan for these things. You don't fall in love with the person who hurts
You think it's
women
going
like
to hurt you.
yeah, no, you fall in love with the good guy and then it ends up changing and it ends up and what I found interesting about for Sloan and Sly's sister is like they both got to a place differently. You did a good job of showing that like different ways of like getting to a place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's part of the whole respect and compassion thing, right? Everybody comes to life with different experiences. And
Yeah.
trying to say that one person who's like experienced something, their experience is the same as somebody else who has experienced it. I mean, that's not true, right? Because everybody's life is different, everybody's experience is different, everybody how they deal with it is different. And,
Mhm.
so many things that whatever, what kind of support system they have is different. Like all of these things kind of make up, right? How you deal with whatever terrible thing happens to
Yeah.
you in your
Yep.
life at one time or another. And yeah, I just try to always tread lightly and tread with as much grace and compassion as I can.
I think you very much do that.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. That means a lot to me. Thank
You're
you.
cuz you're not shying away, but you're not exploiting it either.
Exactly, because there's nothing there that should ever be exploited, right?
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, this is the thing. You are telling a story of things that happen to people, and it is awful that it happens to them. But yeah, exploitation of that, ugh, no. Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
not okay with me.
Well, there's something about I'm like, as we're talking about it, I'm like, you have so many themes and layers to this book. It's incredible. But I'm realizing like, I love talking about these, especially with the author, because then I get to see like the different themes where I'm going. And, you have this idea of like, with domestic violence where there's like that kind of like a public, like no one knows what's going on the outside, right? And then you have the truth of what's going on in the inside. And so there's a lot of balancing between public persona and internal persona, and that's me teeing it up for Amy for the next question.
Well, which I think you also handle with a lot of grace and compassion because I think we can all relate to this idea of we display a certain side of ourselves to the people around us or different people get different facades of ourselves versus what we're truly feeling and thinking on the inside. And I think it was rewarding for me to read how difficult that balance is between the two for another person, right? Because I only have my own experience
Yeah.
to rely on. What would you say were maybe some challenging but also rewarding aspects of exploring that with these characters?
Okay, one of the most rewarding parts of Pauline. I love
Yeah.
her so much.
Yeah.
I think she, like, her Paulinisms, like I call them, right?
Mhm.
I think she, like, sums things up so incredibly well, and it's like, yeah, like that, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you make it sound like it sounds so easy when but it's not, of course, and that's the point, right? And the point is, like,
Mhm.
Pauline's lived her own life and had her own hardships coming up.
Yep.
I mean, you don't make it to 75 in the music industry as a powerful woman if
Yep.
without having, had some knocks, right?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, this incredibly beautiful, I think, mentor to Sloan as she's dealing with all of that. But I think that, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that we all balance the public and the private persona because, yeah, there are days you feel like shit and people are like, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm fine." Like,
Yeah.
nobody's g like, you the woman as you're, picking up your prescription, "How are you today?" "Oh, I'm fine." Like, what is she
Yeah.
gonna do if you're like, "Actually, this has been,
I'm
like,
awful.
the actually, this has been, like, the worst day I've had in a really long time, and I'm really sad, and blah, blah, blah." Like, yeah, right? But it's I think one of the things that, like, I was a teacher for 20 years, and, I think, it's one of the things that you don't always pay attention to because 'cause you're always in your head too, and you're always like, "Oh, I gotta get through this lesson, I've gotta get through this, I've gotta get through that." But also, like, I always tried, right? Like, "Hey, how are you?" To, like, every kid that came through my classroom and to actually look at the body language, at the eyes, at what's actually going on there to make sure that, they really are okay, right? They're not just giving
Yeah.
me lip service. But at the same time, yeah, like, yeah, there are days one that comes to mind is I had an interview to do the evening that my mother died.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
It was, like, in the middle of a massive book launch, and, like, I
Yeah.
was, like, here for her, and we were still on Zoom, definitely then, and, like, I walked down after everything had happened and the funeral home had come, and then I walked into my office, and I sat down, and I remember this and she's so sweet, and we've, become casual friends because, like, I always remember how kind she was, this girl who interviewed me from Mysterious Galaxy. And I was just like, "I'm gonna tell you this thing." And she'd been so excited because she had loved the series, and her eyes just got so big, and she's like, "I don't," and I you just and I'm like, "You don't have to do anything. I'm just telling you that if I
Yeah.
cry or whatever, if somebody asks me a question, because 'cause we're opening it up to public questions, like,
Yep,
just
yep.
know that, like, this is what's happening." And she treated me with such gentleness and such compassion, And
Yeah.
again, I get it goes back to, like, my philosophy in life, right? You just have to give people grace. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing this and I'm trying really hard, like, and inside I'm just like, my mom's dead, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you never know. And I think that, you may not, I've never been a pop star on stage trying to hold it together by any means, but I can draw on that moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I can
Yeah.
draw on the moment of being in front of my classroom when, like, something terrible happened, and I just have to hold it together for these 30 high schoolers and the 30 that come after next period and the 30 that
Mhm.
come after that. And then I can go cry in my car or
Yep.
whatever I need to do.
We all know what it's like to go cry in your car afterwards, yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah, it reminds me a lot, like, when, years ago, I was diagnosed bipolar, and when I would start telling people, the number one response was, "I don't see it." And I'm like, "Well, of course you don't see it because I hid it." Like, I was really good at hiding it, like, you wouldn't
Mhm.
see it. I would just kinda disappear for, like, 2 weeks, and you don't got a little you just don't really see that, and so it is, like, it was the most fascinating experience of my life where like, not Amy, though, but everyone else was, like, very common of, like, "Oh, I don't see that," and I'm just like, "What kind of response is that?" But I think, like, everyone has that what you put out and what we put in, and then so if someone's, like, being vulnerable and is able to say, "I actually, like, had a really hard time," we should be listening to that, we should be giving grace rather than judging, because then
Yeah.
we're no better than all the press and paparazzi that goes after Sloan.
right?
Yeah.
Because at some point, like, especially in this world of like, one of the things I really think is interesting on social media where they talk about, like, the perception versus what's real and this new movement to, like, show, "Yeah, this
Yeah.
area looks clean, but you look at the rest of my house and it's a disaster," or, "Yeah, I look all
Mhm.
put together, but I'm really," all of these things, because I think in some ways we all have it together, and in other ways we are all a mess. And I think that's okay. I think that is the human condition, right?
Yeah.
Being human is a messy, messy endeavor. And whether you're doing it, and I think it becomes incredibly harder when you're doing it on a stage the size of the stage that Sly and Sloan are doing it on, right? And trying to
Yeah.
fall in love and trying to connect. Like falling in love is a fun, exciting, messy, scary process, no matter how you do it or whatever, right? It just is, right? It's exhilarating and terrifying and all of these things all at the same time because you're having to be vulnerable to this person and you're hoping that they're not going to hurt you, but you don't know that. And so I think like being able to take those emotions that we all feel and then put them on a grander scale, I think again it's the going for what's authentic, right?
Yeah.
Where it is.
It makes it safe to relate to.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it safe, right? Like, because, like you're reading this like pop star and football star, but, so it's not like you're reading a story that's directly about you.
Yeah, of
And
course.
it makes it a safe space to read. And genuinely, I think that's part of the reason why I felt so much heart for this is the safe space for me personally, it's the idea of like dating someone new and not self-sabotaging and being allowed to be excited and not thinking 5 million steps down the road. Sloan immediately jumping 20 steps going, well, this is why that's not going to work.
Mm.
I related that very hard right now of like, just pull back. How about we're in the now? How about we don't self-destruct for 20 steps and figuring out. So I think like I want you to know like this hit me hard in a very timely fashion. And I thank you very much so for this. Cause then it's like, no, she's brave. She's brave. We can all be brave.
Yeah.
Right? Also, I mean, I'm glad that there was something there. Also, be gentle with yourself. You're doing great.
Yeah.
You're doing amazing,
Yeah.
you know?
Tracy, I told
And
you I'm gonna cry. Just don't make me.
that's okay. You know, my youngest son is my mom used to call him Eeyore because he will always look 10 steps ahead to everything that's going to go. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is. If it's like, oh, we're going out to dinner, well, it's going to be ruined because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, it does not matter. He's not even a negative person. He is a person who has to look there to find the plan so that then if something goes bad, he can deal with it. And then he can go and have a great time and relax. Right?
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like, oh, it's going to go bad, but it's like, if it does, what am I going to do? How are we going to deal with
Right.
it? Okay, now I know what I'm doing. And
Yep.
I, like to bury my head. Like, oh,
Yeah.
everything's going to be great. Everything's fine. Everything's wonderful. You know? And then, I do that until I'm like, okay, I can actually deal with whatever is going on. But I have to like hide for a little while. My partner is very like, let's just lay it out. And I'm like, no, let me go hide in the bedroom and pull the covers over my head. Not literally, but whatever. For
Yeah.
an hour or a day or however long I need to. And then I'll come out and we can talk like adults about whatever situation we're in that we need to solve. If it's a
Yeah.
bad one, Everybody has their thing. Everybody has
Yeah.
their way of doing things.
You are freaking incredible, Tracy.
Oh.
Yeah, this has been an absolute delight, and you're just as like awesome as I would hope you were. So thank you for that.
Thank you for delivering.
Thank you for delivering what I was hoping that you would be, and then more, and then exceeding what everything, because you can't write something with so much heart and not be someone who has so much heart. So thank you so much.
Oh, that is a really, really lovely, kind thing to say. Thank you. That means a lot to me. And you delivered as well. This has been a really, really fun hour to spend with you. I've had a really great time and I really enjoyed talking to you. You guys are fantastic.
Hopefully, thank you. Hopefully, we get to have you back for your next 5 projects.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
Is there anything you want to tell our listeners about that's coming down the pike that you can talk about?
Well, I have it happen on a Sunday, right? Which is coming out in very soon, or probably by the time this comes out, it's already out. And I think it's so pretty. They're my first.
Oh my
So
God.
pretty.
They're my first spray. I've had like plain sprayed edges, but these are my first. So it's very special. And then later on this year, we're going to be doing a novella of Jackson and Flint, which are 2 characters from the Crave series. And
Yeah.
then in February, I am launching my very first middle grade, which is a whole female power Greek gods book. It's
Ooh.
called The Aftermath. And
Ooh.
I had so much fun writing that book because like there are myths that bug me. Like Pandora's box is one that has just always gotten in my craw, right? Like they
Yeah.
created her to open that box as punishment for Prometheus and Epimetheus. And then she's been blamed for eternity for opening the box. I'm like, no, this is not okay. And so the aftermath is exactly what it says. Like, let's go back and look at this again and see what we can do about fixing this and making it look like what it really needs to be and what it really was. So
That's super exciting.
yeah. And then I have a couple other projects that I can't talk about yet, but
Well, we're excited for them to come out and everything that continue your prolificness because this is
thank you. I am very excited. It felt really lovely to get to find my creativity and my creative well again. And I've had too many stories that I have more stories than I have time to tell, like in my head. So it's a good place to be.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And everybody go check out It Happened on a Sunday.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. This week, we'll be discussing A Cruel Thirst by Angela Montoya.
We would love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. If you'd like to submit your take on any of the books we plan to discuss later this autumnish, please be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we ask for listener submissions.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk.
Bye. Amy, it is my time to shine because fall is in full swing.
All I want for fall are those big, soft sweaters that I can wear everywhere, but they are way too expensive.
Fortunately, Quince makes it easy to look polished, stay warmed, and save big without compromising on quality.
I love their elevated pieces that are just those go-to essentials for fall, including their 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. You can't get that anywhere else.
I got one of their cardigans last year. It was my favorite cardigan, and it's going to continue to be my favorite cardigan.
I have always wanted one of those giant wool coats, and I've never made the investment because they're so expensive, but I actually can get the quality that I'm looking for a decent price through Quince.
That's because by partnering directly with ethical, top-tier factories and cutting out the middleman, Quince is able to deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. It's the kind of wardrobe upgrade that feels smart, stylish, and effortless.
I love my 100% cotton button-ups that I've got for this summer. They were a perfect transition piece for summer to fall. Keep it classy and cozy this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince.
Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK to get free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/booktalk.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
Summer might be over, but hydration is never over.
I need it more than ever now that it's back to school season.
Thank goodness for Liquid IV because that is what's getting me hydrated and ready for the fall.
Liquid IV is scientifically formulated to help replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from sweat or exercise.
3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, all in a single stick.
1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water is more hydrating than water alone.
Liquid IV has their new Liquid IV's Energy Multiplier Sugar-Free Hydration Energy. This is what I use daily.
It's 0 sugar, 3 times the electrolytes, and 9 essential vitamins for a sugar-free, crash-free boost.
The fact that it has natural caffeine, it's perfect for that jitter-free, sugar-free lift because you know how I react to caffeine.
And you know what? It comes in 2 amazing flavors. They have a sugar-free energy strawberry kiwi and the best sugar-free energy blackberry lemonade.
I had food poisoning this week, and I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you I had my Liquid IV in my giant tumbler, just sipping it, trying to stay hydrated, and I think it saved me.
It's scientifically formulated to support physical energy, hydration, focus, mood, and social stamina, or in Jack's case, food poisoning stamina.
Ditch the glitch with 0 sugar and 0 crash from Liquid IV.
Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with the code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order with code BOOKTALK. BOOKTALK at liquidiv.com.
As a kid, there was nothing more important than that next PlayStation game. My parents made us save for that stuff.
If only you had Acorns Early.
Yeah, because I had to carry cash, man. That's hard to keep.
Acorns Early is the smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up.
If you're one of those parents who likes chore charts, you can start with in-app chores trackers and teach your kids the value of $1.
By doing that, it lets your kids set their own saving goals and start building healthy money habits early. I really wish I had something like this when I was younger.
I wish my parents made me do this now.
Actually, yes.
Kids can spend what they've earned with their very own customizable debit card, giving them that extra sense of independence.
Plus, with Acorns Early's spending limits and real-time spending notifications, you are always going to stay in control, parents.
Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/booktalk or download the Acorns Early app. That's 1 month free when you sign up for acornsearly.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fees starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/early terms.